Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Wednesday. Happy Hump Day, one and all. Thanks for being here. We're hanging out for the next 3 hours on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning in to the program today, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be along in the 4 o'clock hour as per normal. We've got 3 hours of show for you today. Royals baseball be another late night. It's been some good baseball the last 2 nights, as long as you're not real fussed about the Royals losing. Probably have enjoyed them from a baseball perspective. A couple of good games at Chavez Ravine, and 10-inning affair last night. The Royals dropping it 5-4. That's back-to-back 1-run losses for the Royals against baseball's 2-time defending champs. The finale of the series is tonight. Daniel Lynch will take the ball, his second actual start, non-opener start of the season for the Royals. It's another late one, 8:30 pregame coverage from the Royals Radio Network, 9:10 first pitch here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So in the intervening 3 hours, we've got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk some Chiefs. How many roster spots are really up for grabs at this training camp? I think there are more this year that don't feel nailed on in a way that they have in recent years, because you had so many veterans and you had so many guys who had the faith and credit of having been on Super Bowl teams, Super Bowl winning teams, conference championship teams, division championship teams. I remember doing this exercise last year, and I think that we decided going into the preseason, there were really only like 4 spots that weren't spoken for. I think it's a little bit more competitive this time around, which I think you can look at that as being a pretty good thing for this Chiefs camp. But we'll go through it. Who's got a ticket to Arrowhead Stadium, and who might have to buy a ticket to Arrowhead Stadium for that season opener coming up in 34 days against the Denver Broncos. We'll also take a look at the latest from camp today, and another question about the first preseason game. Because we know how this goes usually for the Chiefs. Everybody plays. Unless you're injured, you play in the preseason. And that usually has even gone for the first team offense, even if it's not a long drive for them. I think they ran, 3 plays in the preseason opener last year. Mahomes and company, the opening of preseason, I think they recovered a fumble on the kickoff or the first defensive play, one of the two, and then they ran 3 plays and scored a touchdown, Mahomes to Jason Brownlee. Why do I remember that? Earlier today, I stood up from my desk and I left my office, and I couldn't remember why I'd stood up, but I remember Mahomes to Jason Brownlee for the first touchdown of last preseason. I don't know what that says about me. But anyway, that was it for the ones, right? They were done after that. Usually one series even if it's a short series, and Reed gets him out of there. With the high probability that Patrick Mahomes isn't going to play on Saturday, how much does that change the equation? And how many veterans should sit? And how many guys probably need to be out there and play, even if they are longtime starters, nailed-on starters, in Saturday's preseason opener against the Los Angeles Rams at Arrowhead Stadium? That's a 3 o'clock kickoff, 2 o'clock pregame right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. The way the timing of it worked out, we've got a Chiefs-Royals doubleheader for you on the airwaves on Saturday, because the Royals will be playing out in Orange County. They'll be playing against the Los Angeles Angels on Saturday night. So you'll catch both games back-to-back right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We've also got some camp audio today. Travis Kelce spoke to the media for the first time this training camp, for the first time since his eventful summer. It was in the news. Maybe you heard about what Travis Kelce got up to this summer. So obviously there's some stuff in there about that, but there's a whole lot of football-related content too. And you'd expect nothing less from a guy who, even as, I don't think it's a stretch to call him the most famous player in the NFL. I really don't. I really don't think that's a stretch. I think more people know who Travis Kelce is than know who, I would say, even Patrick Mahomes is. Patrick Mahomes isn't married to Taylor Swift. Like, that's that whole subset of the audience. So he might be the most famous guy, famous player in the NFL, but he has never not been about football first, which one of the things I admire about the guy. We'll hear from Travis Kelce a little bit later on in the show. I very nearly said we'll hear from Taylor Swift. I came this close. It's been a day. You're not going to hear from her, but you will hear from Travis Kelce. Though I would love to hear Taylor Swift break down any changes in the Chiefs' scheme on offense this year. I think Taylor knows ball. I do. I think she knows a little ball. Also, Khalil Benson. We'll play a little bit of the rookie offensive lineman's press availability from earlier today. And, of course, at 5:25, another training camp report with the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. He'll join us at 5:25, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. And we will have a training camp report today that centers on Travis Kelce's backup, understudy, however you want to put it. Noah Gray had a really good 2024, a really not good 2025. How does he get back closer to 2024 level production? We'll talk about that with Mitch Holthus on our training camp report. So lots of Chiefs on the program today, but bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to talk some Cats. Tim Fitzgerald joins the show today. We're excited to have Fitz back on, first time in a few weeks. Obviously, if you know anything about the publisher, GoPowerCat.com, you know that he's continuing his fight against cancer and what that has done to him physically, and continues to receive some pretty rigorous treatments, even coming to Topeka for some of those treatments. And so Ryan Gilbert's been pinch hitting for the last couple of weeks here on the show. But we got Fitz today. He was at the press conference yesterday at Colin Klein's presser. So I reached out to Fitz today, said, hey, man, you feel up for it? He said, let's do it. So Fitz will be on with us today. We're excited for the chance to talk to Tim for our Wildcat Wrap-Up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. That's coming up again at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. And we'll get to a little baseball as well. Like I said, good ball game last night. Royals losing 10 innings. Entertaining game. And it's been a series that if you've watched all 19 innings and you realize what a small sample size that is in the grand scheme of a 162-game season, if you just watch those 19 innings, you would not feel like the Dodgers were so much better than the Royals. I mean, that's what the other 100-odd games have definitively proven. But head-to-head, mano-a-mano, Royals have traded blows. They've traded punches. They've been in the ring. But they've lost. And look, the Dodgers make winning plays, and they know how to win, and they expect to win, and the Royals have become a team this year that kind of expects to lose. And so we'll get into that. And maybe if there was something to be enthused about last night, have the Royals found a bullpen piece? for 2027 and beyond. I think they might have. I think they've got something in Nate Pearson. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. We'll do one gotta go. We've got headlines. We've got what is wrong with you, all our typical shenanigans for a Wednesday coming up on the program today as well. Plus, we want to hear from you. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. Always appreciate hearing from you on the text line. You can also jump into the live chat on YouTube. We appreciate our YouTube viewers and subscribers. Go subscribe to the channel. Become our next YouTube subscriber. And if you're watching the show live from 3 to 6 Central every day, hop in that live chat on the browser or on your mobile device, however you're watching the show. Hop in that live chat. Say hello. Interact with your friends and fellow listeners and your hosts as well. Who's in the chat today? Mark B's early into the chat today. That's nice to see. How you doing, Mark B? Mark H is in today. I see Andrew. I see Christopher. I see Vance. A lot of our regulars are in already today. Join the crowd, why won't you? It's a nice group of fellows. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Christopher with the stat of the day already. Speaking of the Royals. The Royals have lost 18 road games this season in the other team's last at bat. 10 walk-offs and 8 losses where they gave up the go-ahead runs in the 8th inning. That sucks, man. That's a big chunk of the 50-some road games, 60-some road games the Royals have played. 18 of them lost in the other team's final at bat. It was the 10th inning last night. It was Max Muncy last night. Don't you hate him? God, I hate Max Muncy. I've hated Max Muncy for years. He's tormented my favorite team on an annual basis since he's been a Dodger. But I hate that dude. Get off the plate. Quit wearing that stupid elbow guard. Get your lard ass off the plate. I'm sorry. Didn't want to make this all about my thing against the Dodgers' Max Muncy. But he walked it off last night, in case you went to bed. More Royals later. Let's talk some Chiefs. A more pleasant topic of conversation, at least for now. The Chiefs open their preseason on Saturday against the Rams. Patrick Mahomes is probably not going to play. I only say probably because it hasn't been confirmed yet, but Andy Reid told us last week he's leaning towards not playing Mahomes. And even though Mahomes continues to look sprightly and sharp and spry and lots of other words that start with an S and lots of other complimentary words that don't necessarily start with the letter S, but he's looked great. Like Mahomes looks like Mahomes. If you didn't know, if you woke up from a year-long coma and you knew nothing about that torn ACL against the Chargers in December, you would have no idea anything was wrong. And that's great. But it also doesn't mean that the Chiefs should play Mahomes in the preseason or that Andy Reid is going to. And that's a diversion from what the Chiefs have usually done, right? We usually see Mahomes in at least the first preseason game. There have been some years he hasn't played in the final preseason game. But we always see Mahomes, that first drive of the preseason. However long it is, however many plays, we see him out there. We see him out there with that first team. But now we're probably not going to see him. I expect Reid will probably address the media tomorrow. Chiefs will have an off day Friday before they play Saturday. So Thursday will be the last day anybody speaks to the media before they kick things off and play their first preseason game. So I suspect it will be Reid who speaks tomorrow, and I expect at that point he'll tell us what we're expecting to hear, that Mahomes isn't going to play. So how does that change the whole equation that Andy Reid likes to follow? Because if you're not going to have Mahomes out there leading the ones, even if it's just for a drive, then what good does it do to play all of the ones anyway? Does that make the Chiefs more likely to look at some other indispensable pieces of their offense and say, you know what? Go ahead and take off the pads. You can watch this one in street clothes on the sideline. Does Kenneth Walker play on Saturday? Should he? I would argue that he shouldn't see the field in the preseason. Do the starting wide receivers play? Does Kelce play? How many of the starting offensive linemen play? Say nothing of the defensive side of the ball. And adding to the questions, the very real questions about this, the fact that they're playing the Rams. And I don't know how well you know Sean McVay's get down for the preseason, but I'm not even sure Matthew Stafford's going to be on the plane. Right? He does not play his starters. He is a firm believer that his starters do not, in fact, need the preseason. And that's a philosophical difference, right? And there's no right and there's no wrong unless you get somebody really valuable hurt, and then you were wrong to do that. But how are you supposed to know that's going to happen? Hindsight's always 20/20. That valuable piece could always get hurt week 1 or week 6. You can't predict injuries. But coaches either like to do it or they don't like to do it. And for Sean McVay, he has preferred to sit his starters in the preseason. Does that then make the Chiefs more likely to sit most of their own? I have a few thoughts on guys I think need to play on Saturday regardless. Guys who I think benefit from the live fire. Guys who are maybe working their way back into game shape. Guys who are still young enough in their careers that any experience is valuable experience. Those are the kinds of guys that I would expect seeing out there. Creed Humphrey, why? Why bother? Chiefs are trying to figure out backup center anyway. No sense in playing Creed Humphrey in this game. No sense in playing Travis Kelce in this game. No sense in playing Kenneth Walker in this game. I'd get as many of the receivers out there as I could. Even if it's going to be Justin Fields and Garrett Nussmeier throwing him the football. I'd get the receivers out there. I think those guys need game reps. I think Xavier Worthy needs game reps as he tries to refine his game. We talked about this with Mitch Holthus yesterday. Xavier Worthy's growth in year 3 as an all-around wide receiver is really important for him and for the team. And I think he would benefit. And this is allowing for his health, right? Like Worthy dinged the shoulder, and he wasn't all the way back working out until this week. Maybe the Chiefs decide, yeah, week 1, we're not going to chance it. Maybe we get him out there for a few snaps week 2. But I do think that there is some benefit from Xavier Worthy playing in the preseason. I think, similarly, there's benefit for Rashee Rice playing in the preseason because Rice has to get out there, test out the wheels, make sure the knee is okay, figure out how he's going to get separation against opposing cornerbacks. There have been some, shall we say, conflicting reports day over day about just how Rashee Rice has looked at camp. Our Matt Verderam, our NFL insider, posted today on X something along the lines of he's had an up and down camp. I spoke today with a training camp correspondent. We had a correspondent embedded at training camp yesterday. Somebody you're very familiar with because he used to host this radio program. A guy named Jake LeBon. Maybe you remember him. Anyhow, I was talking to Jake today. He was at training camp. Took his oldest, his son, and said when he saw Rashee Rice look slow. Rashee Rice didn't have a good day yesterday. Say he looked slow, looked like he didn't have a lot of speed, a lot of ability to get off the ball, a lot of ability to separate. But earlier last week in camp, Albert Breer had some good things to say in his league-wide notes column about Rashee Rice rounding into form at camp. So I think it's fair to say probably the answer is somewhere in between, that Rashee Rice has had some good days and he's had some bad days. And you're talking about a guy now with a history of knee problems, with one major knee injury, with 2 knee surgeries. I think you kind of expect that. I think he needs to go out and trust it, get on the field and put a little faith in that leg or regain the faith in that leg because, as we've said, the Chiefs need him. He's the only guy they've got who's ever produced like a starting level wide receiver. Never mind wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Never mind those designations for a second. The only guy who has produced consistently as a starting wide receiver in the NFL for a meaningful length of time, not a game, not a week, not a month, is Rashee Rice. It's that 17-game sample starting about midway through his rookie year, through the playoffs in the first 3 games of 2024 before he got hurt. They need him. They need him. And that means week 1, rubber meets the road. Patrick Surtain II is standing over him. He better be able to have a little wiggle and get himself free for that slant the Chiefs are going to need to pick up on 3rd and 5. And I think he'd benefit from game reps. I know the Chiefs have worked him in pretty slowly. There's a chance that because of that, again, he doesn't play week 1. But I think he ought to play at least some of the preseason. I want to see Josh Simmons in the preseason. I want to see, like I said, Creed Humphrey I don't think needs to play. Trey Smith dealing with the hip certainly isn't going to play on Saturday. But we got to see the rest of that offensive line. Like, certainly we're going to see Jalen Moore. We're going to see Khalil Benson. It would almost shock me if we don't see Benson at right guard to start the game, which is what he's been doing in camp, and then kick out to right tackle for some reps as well. But I want to see that left side, too, continue to develop that chemistry on the left side of the line. Josh Simmons hasn't played a lot of football in the last 2 years, about half a season. Each of the last two years, he's dealt with injury. He needs to play a little bit more football. Needs to get some live reps. I think he ought to play. Defense, I'm a little less worried about who plays, who doesn't. A little less fussed about that. Like, defensive linemen can get their reps in one-on-ones, get their reps in practice. The thing that defensive linemen need to get out of their system is being able to hit the quarterback. I've been watching Hard Knocks. I've never really watched that show before. So you guys will have to tell me if every time you watch Hard Knocks, you leave every episode of that show believing that the team you're watching is going to win the Super Bowl, or maybe that's just me being a Seahawks fan and that's the featured team on Hard Knocks this year. But I was watching episode 2 over my lunch break, and there was a scene where the defensive linemen were talking about, man, I just can't wait to go and actually hit a quarterback. It's going to be such a relief to be able to go and hit a quarterback. Like, guys just need that. You're holding back when you can't finish a play the way that you're going to need to finish a play from September on through. So I think then for younger defensive linemen, for Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he's not young relative to the rookies, right? But like, he's trying to earn his spot. Gelati, if he's healthy enough to play. Peter Woods, who tweaked an ankle today, stayed down for a while, popped back up, didn't leave practice, but did tweak the ankle. It was enough that they mentioned it post-practice. But like R. Mason Thomas, another one, those guys, I think, would benefit from being out there. Chris Jones, no. George Karlaftis, no. But the young guys, sure, give those guys some reps. Get those guys out there. The linebackers, just because we don't know who the backups are necessarily going to be and how that's going to shake out. The backup linebackers, to me, are the guys that need to play. Like Drew Tranquill hasn't practiced all week, so he's not going to play. Nick Bolton dinged his knee at practice yesterday, finished practice, and then was sick today and was on the sitting in the front of the cart watching practice. So you can hold Bolton out for Saturday. That's fine. Like Cochran and McDonald and Christensen and Bassa, those guys are the ones who need the reps at that position. Secondary is where it's interesting. Like, I think if Aloha Gilman is going to be the quarterback of this secondary as the new free safety, it'd benefit him to get a series with the guys who are going to play with him. It could benefit him. Noel Williams, I think, another guy who, he started the last 4 games last year, but there were some games he didn't play at all last year. Could stand some more game reps. Want to see him as far as the starters go at defensive back. I don't need to see Fulton. I don't need to see Snead, certainly. I don't even know that I need to see Shamari Connor, who's apparently had a tremendous camp. That might be the guy to buy stock in on the defensive side. If you're too late to get it on the ground floor, the Peter Woods hype train. Shamari Connor has apparently had a terrific camp, only playing safety. It's another reason, I think, kind of an under-the-radar, only if you're paying really close attention. Another reason to be kind of excited about what the Chiefs defense could be this year. One other name that I think is interesting because he just got back to practicing, and that's Cyrus Allen. How much is Cyrus Allen do you play? Because on the one hand, he's a rookie. He's a rookie fifth-round pick. And you want to see those guys. Those guys you like to get a lot of reps, get a lot of time in the preseason. But if Cyrus Allen is as important to this offense as it feels like the Chiefs might think he is, then how do you justify playing him more than a series or two before sidelining him? I'm not willing to make a call on that either way. I just think it's going to be interesting to note how much he plays. Because if he only plays a series or two, then we're going to see a lot of him this season. But if he plays like the whole first half, I think the Chiefs feel like, all right, we like this kid, but he's also, like right now, he's pretty clear number 4. He's pretty clearly a backup for us. But if they think he's more than that, you won't see much of Cyrus Allen on Saturday. I have a feeling. What do you think? 785-272-9429. I want to hear from you. Get at me in the YouTube chat as well. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. We'll take our first time out. Come back. We're going to hear from Travis Kelce and Khalil Benson later on this hour. Mitch Holthus, training camp report at 525. Tim Fitzgerald for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, 435. We got a great show for you today. Thanks for being here on 580 Sports Talk. With Ryan Christopher, he's the owner of the Smoothie King, coming to Topeka with the grand opening celebration scheduled for Saturday, August 22nd. Ryan, there are other places you can get a smoothie in Topeka and all over. What makes Smoothie King different? What is the thing that you believe sets Smoothie King apart from the rest?
The word in and of itself, smoothie. So when people make smoothies at home, right, that's been going on for a long time, and there's other brands that provide smoothies. It all started because of Smoothie King. In 1973 is when the company was founded by Steve Kuno out in New Orleans. And so anything that kind of happened after that is a result of Smoothie King, as people know smoothie. So that's what makes us different, is we actually have the history and the track record all the way from the beginning.
That's Ryan Christopher, the owner of Smoothie King, coming to Topeka, 2121 South Wanamaker Road, Suite 107. The opening celebration Saturday, August 22nd, where 10 people are going to have a chance to win free smoothies for a year. There'll be lots of goodies and giveaways for the first 100 and 300 people through the door as well. You won't want to miss it. Saturday, August 22nd from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The grand opening of Topeka's new Smoothie King. We'll be back with more 580 Sports Talk after this. .333 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero hanging out with you on this hump day. Good to be here. Appreciate Chris for putting the camels in the live chat today. I don't know what I do without Chris for some days. I lose track of what day it is far too often. I'm going to get better at it now that my wife's back working, back in school. Shout out to all the teachers starting school this week. First day of classes for many of you. Some of you might just be getting out of the building and getting to your cars today, turning on the radio. So salute to the teachers. This is day one. Now you start the countdown to summer from here. Talking Chiefs football on the program, talking about who should not play in the preseason opener Saturday against the Rams. Mark B says Big Red better not play Mahomes on Saturday. risking a freak re-injury to the franchise would be stupid. Yeah, I would put it at like a 0.1% chance that Mahomes plays on Saturday. Whether he wants to or not, don't think the decision ought to be his. The only reason I think there's even a ghost of a chance is because Reed has been so rigid and traditional in his thinking about how to use the preseason and who to play in the preseason and giving Mahomes reps in the preseason, even if just a series. But too much at risk, I think, to put him out there on Saturday. Richard and Mark B. also agree Felix Anudike-Uzomah needs some field time, a chance to show out. It was always going to be a big preseason for Felix, but there'll be, I think, a little bit more of a microscope on him on Saturday because we've been hearing good things about his camp performance. Well, let's now see how it translates. That's one of the things, and Matt Verderame has pointed this out over the years. We've talked to him about the preseason, what it means, mostly what it doesn't mean. But if you are a starting caliber player and you happen to be out against somebody's second string or somebody's third string, you better kick the you-know-what out of those guys. We were talking about that just last week regarding Chris Jones. That when Chris Jones was a rookie and he was getting reps against other teams' second string, he was very obviously on a different planet than the guys he was going up against in these preseason games. And obviously that is translated to a Hall of Fame career. That's kind of been the point with Felix, that when we've seen him, we never really seen him in a starting role, right? But we would see him go up against second team, third string guys in the preseason, and he wouldn't really do much. So if we're going to see Felix against the second string O-line of the Rams or the third string O-line of the Rams, he better flash. And not just like briefly. He better have some periods where he's in the backfield for an entire series. If this growth, if this leap is real, that's what you're going to be looking for from Felix in the preseason opener. We'll take another break here on 580 Sports Talk. We'll hear from Travis Kelce, who spoke to the media for the first time this training camp. We'll also hear from the rookie offensive lineman, the UDFA out of IU, Khalil Benson. But first, a moment for my friends at Calhoun's Jewelers, who really do it all at their location at 18th and Gage here in the capital city. They'll buy your used jewelry. They'll buy your gold. They'll refurbish and clean your jewelry. And, of course, they will sell you and even design you. If you can't find a piece that's just right for your eye on their showroom, they will design for you that ring or that pendant, that necklace of your dreams. And they will make the process friendly and simple with their outstanding customer service. They are all the way committed to making sure you have the best possible buying experience. Calhoun's Jewelers, the place for jewelry here in the capital city, 18th and Gage in Topeka. More 580 Sports Talk next. When practice wound down in St. Joe today for the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce got to a microphone, had plenty to say about football things, and as you'd imagine, answered some questions about some non-football things. Also, he swore a few times. We caught those. So here is an edited version of Travis Kelce's press conference from earlier today.
Before we get to the football stuff, but how was your wedding, the rest of your summer? What's it like?
It was a fun off season, man. Wedding was the best night of my life, and I appreciate everybody who came out and celebrated and had fun with us. And that's about all I really got from that night. It was a crazy night. It was full of a lot of celebration, but it's football, baby.
Last year, you joked about spending a year of your life in the dorms. Now it'll be a year and a month, I guess. Is there something about it that you look forward to?
I mean, it's always going to be my sanctuary. I think St. Joe's got a special place in my heart. A time in you need to have these days. You need to have this time of grinding with the guys, being around them all day, every day. You start to create that chemistry and that standard of how we're going to do things. And this year it's ramped up even more. Especially on the offensive side of the ball, and man, it feels good to have the leaders out there, all feeling the same thing.
Trav, I talk to a lot of guys in pro sports, and they tell me when they get to the league, they want to do three things: win a championship, take care of their family, and stay healthy. You've been fortunate enough to do all three. What motivates you to still come out here and still want to play football?
I still got a lot of love for this game. I still think I can go out and play at a high level, and I want to go out there and prove myself that I could play at a better level than I did last year. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is making sure that I'm accountable for the guys in this room and every single play that I'm out there.
That's what motivates you change from year one to 14?
I mean, year one I was just trying to make the team, I guess. So I think this year, not only making the team, but trying to figure out how I can bring guys along with me and show them how to play championship football. I think that's a big thing. And then be able to just, enjoy these moments with the guys that I've built this culture with, and Coach Reed and guys like Pat and Chris Jones and George and everybody. So. All aspects of football, man. Being more accountable when the ball's in the air. There were a few games last year that I felt like I put on myself. In the blocking world, and being able to get my guys so we can spring guys for bigger gains. And then on top of that, just being a better leader, and when we get stuck in a with adversity hitting, who's going to be able to, who's going to want you in that foxhole with you. And that's one of those things that I want to be one of those guys that everybody counts on to be there and get us out of that foxhole. The fact that we didn't make the playoffs, I moved on pretty quick. But I think once we get back into OTAs and right now, I think everybody feels everything's got to get turned up a little bit, and that's what you're seeing right now.
All of a sudden, this is Patrick's 10th season, and I just wonder if you might recall some of your first interactions with him, and maybe just the arc of your relationship with him since then.
One of the most surprising things you'll ever find out about playing with Pat Mahomes is the guy's got a good cadence. There's something with the frequency of his voice, and when he says it really gets you to. So everybody just got to mentally, when you're tired, you really got to lock in because that frequency it gets you to jump no matter what. It's a good cadence. Everybody knows I love that guy. That's a brother to me. I'm so proud of the way he handled adversity from last year to right now. Obviously, we still got about a month, less than a month till the first game. But you see him out here, man. You see him enjoying the game, competing at a high level, not thinking about the knee. And he's playing his tail off right now and leading us is the biggest thing. Is when you get your leaders out there, your best players out there, and they're setting the tone, setting the standard of the team. As long as 1-5's out there doing that, man, we're going to be a good football team.
Obviously, he's grown in so many ways, but do you see some parts of him that you value because he's still the same guy?
Say the accountability to everybody around him. There's one thing. Everybody's, you can either, lead by example or lead with your voice. I think he's been more prone to. Obviously, he's always led by example, but to hold somebody accountable man to man. and try and get the best out of them without them turning on you, things like that. Especially in the dog days at camp, you can get real ugly mentally. But I think Pat does an unbelievable job of that, and it's been one of those things that's gotten better and better over the years. Just as he holds me accountable.
Travis, how do you feel physically?
Feel ready to rock and roll. I mean, third day in camp for I think 9 day in pads. Third day in pads this week. Body feels good. I was able to finish in a strong way, and just trying to make sure I set that example for the guys around me to know that this is the standard.
What are your impressions of Ken Walker?
Woo! Ken Walker's going to be a hell of a ball player for us. If you didn't know that already, he was he's got every trait you could possibly want at the running back position, and on top of that, his mentality, how smart he is. His physicality, his aggression, and how he runs with the football and just plays the game. I can't say enough about him as a teammate. We got an absolute superstar on and off the field at 9.
Travis, Eric getting back, and we talked to you about that earlier, but now gone through some camp with him. What has he brought being back here with you guys, especially for the guys who haven't been around him?
One, you got intensity. Intensity is the first thing, and that intensity is infectious. Makes you want to scream at everybody doing the wrong thing, and I love that. It's one of my favorite things about him. I don't think there's enough of that in the world, let alone in this building. And I think EB's one of those guys where his accountability is going to piss you off, but if you treat it the right way and you act the right way or respond the right way with it, you're going to become better of it, and it's going to make the team a better team because of it. And it's one of those things that I think we really missed here in Kansas City.
So that last year you talked about, it was just kind of a weird year last year. Was that something that maybe wasn't there?
1,000%. And that's not to say that, it was on anybody specific. I'd put my hand in the air and I say, there were things that I could have done better in that regard. And it's one of those things that I'm working on. It's not just going to be enemy out here holding people accountable. It's the guys that are doing it the right way holding people accountable too.
Travis, how excited are you to bring that connection back with Mahomes, considering how last season ended?
Say it again?
How excited are you to bring that connection back with Mahomes, considering how last season ended?
I mean, we got a lot of great players on this offense, man. It's not just me. I think, we got some young guys that can play in Cyrus Allen, Jay Royals. Obviously, Quan is coming back. He's looking great running down the field. And we got Xavier Worthy, who, if you see him in the offseason, we just got to give him a little healthy right now. But that he's a man on a mission right now. And I love the way he's working and his attention to detail and how he's running his routes. And just, the aggression that he's running his routes in. When we get him back out here, man, we'll be a full arsenal. And I think Pat has done an unbelievable job of not only getting himself ready for here, but working with these receivers and making sure that everybody's, living up to that standard of how we're going to play this year. And you can't forget Rashee Rice, man. Rashee Rice is out here working his tail off, trying to get right as well. And we love for getting out here and getting through these dog days, knowing he's coming off a knee surgery.
Last few guys, Nick, go ahead. Travis, for you, what did the moment mean? Because you watched sports since you were a little kid. What did the moment mean to be in that venue, Madison Square Garden, one of the most important?
MSG, man. I always told myself I'd go for a playoff game when the Knicks were rocking. And my wife went when I was stuck in a mini camp, so I didn't get my opportunity to go then. So it's kind of cool to be able to, live out my childhood dream of being in that venue and, the mecca of all sports venues, being able to get married in there. Can't thank, the owners of MSG for allowing us to get the opportunity to do that, knowing that we wanted a private event and everything. So it was perfect. And the AC was cooking, baby. That was the best part.
These past few years with the podcast with your brother, I guess, what has it meant that you're going to have these memories with him and kind of discussing, what could be the latter years of your career, recorded and sharing those with people?
Man, it's a blessing in disguise, man. I had no idea it would get to this point, that is new heights and how big it's gotten. I'm so fortunate that, my brother was, on board with being able to do this, because it's not only, giving us another avenue of way of life, but and a broader audience and things that we want to do off the field, but it's brought us closer and given us a certain amount of time throughout the week that you just get to sit down and shoot with your bro. So it's memories I'll never forget. Every single time we jump on, we're laughing for 4 hours. It's only supposed to be a 2-hour recording. We're laughing for another 2.5. So it's a beautiful thing. Obviously, the first year we did it, we went to the Super Bowl, played each other in the Super Bowl, and that will be the most magical year, knowing that, we got to put our family on display in a way that we hadn't before. But to be able to keep doing this and get the guests that we're doing, we're just so thankful, and we want to be able to tell everybody's story as well as ours.
Last one, Sam.
Travis said about St. your sanctuary. I just wondered that just being up here prompts you to reflect on the other times you've been out here and what stand out.
I'll tell you what, I like to play the old man and just tell everybody how good we got it when they like to complain about the cat food and driving all the way up here and what the conditioning test used to be to what it is now, and how many plays a long drive drill was back then and now what it is now. And not that Andy's getting soft on us, but just a different day and age, man. But it's fun to reflect in those kind of ways, just to shoot and kind of poke fun at the young guys for complaining about how things are and how hard it is to be an NFL football player, and the beauty of it all. So like I said, this place has a special place in my heart. A lot of it is due to the fans coming up here and showing love every single day. It doesn't go unnoticed. A lot of times that gets you through the dog days and the tough days, and it's definitely some place that I'll always remember when I think about football.
Travis Kelce counted 5 bleeps in what was the longest, I believe, press availability for any player so far this training camp. Keeps it real, like Mark H. said in the YouTube live chat. Keeps it real always, and sometimes so real that we got to go to the edit button, the bleep button, if you will. From the longest tenured Chief to a rookie, Khalil Benson also spoke to the media today. Here's a bit of what the UDFA from Indiana had to say.
How does a starting lineman on a team that goes undefeated and wins the national championship somehow fly under the radar? How'd that happen to you?
Man, honestly, man, just hard work and competition and consistency, bro. And I think that's really one of the biggest things I took, and didn't let the naysayers really say anything too much, and then kept my head down and kept driving forward.
How much fun is this camp?
It's been really good, man. I think it's really helpful for all of us. Everything's been going good. I mean, I see everything as beneficial, with the team, everything when it comes to the teammates and they're lifting us up, especially as rookies. You want to do the best as you can, especially to try to keep the coaches how they're supposed to be, and really take those coaching points and really keep everything and, moving forward.
Did you have any conversations with the Chiefs before the draft, and what led to your decision to try out for them?
Honestly, man, I just kind of kept my head down. I knew my time was going to come, and really just stay humble and stay faithful and kept praying to God and just making sure that I was ready to be called when it was that time.
What was that draft process like for you? Was there disappointment not to hear your name?
No, honestly, man, because realistically, whatever position you get put in, you got to take it on the chin. Being a football player, stuff happens, and just being able to just move past one thing and then be able to put the one foot before the other one and keep going and making sure that there's nothing left on the table for eat. So,
What was it like when you got signed and you getting the chance? What was that?
Honestly, man, it was good. I know coming in here, you're going to be having those type of eyes on you and everything, but being a football player, you're going to have a lot of fans looking at you, and then you got to get used to it, and just being able to work and then be able to continue to work and being consistent in what you're doing, I feel like that's the biggest thing. So it was honestly a good thing.
It was really significant to you, obviously, just knowing you had the moment, the opportunity, because I guess there could have been a time you doubted you were going to get the opportunity.
Nah, man, never. Opportunity comes when we all work together, you know what I'm saying? So as a team, man, we got to put our best foot forward and then do what we got to do, you know what I'm saying, to keep everything going straight forward.
You haven't played in a game or even a preseason game yet, but when did you feel like, I belong here? Was it very early on, or was it when you got down here to camp? When did it click?
Like I said, being a football player, it always has to click, I think just being a really offensive lineman as well, too, because you got to have it in the back of your mind, and whatever quarterback's behind you got to make sure that they don't get touched at all. So as a football player and as an offensive lineman, man, our mind is always staying on the one goal and make sure the team does the best we can to make sure we get to where we need to go.
We'll go Nick and then Pete.
Khalil, for you, what do you take pride in as an offensive lineman that you want to put on tape for opponents to see?
Man, showing the humbleness, man, and the confidence, and the coaches being able to trust you, and being able to move forward when there's time to be corrected, being able to be corrected, and then being able to just go out there the next play and then do what you got to do the next play.
been a little outside, inside, these past couple of months. I guess what's been the most challenging part about shifting back and forth?
I don't feel like it's really no challenge. Honestly, I mean, yeah, but you gotta be able to adjust when it's time, when your number's being called. You gotta be ready to adjust whatever happens, because you just never know what could happen. And at any point in time, you just gotta be ready to be moved forward, and then just have everything ready, and your mental ready, and then your body ready to go. So yeah.
Last one, Sam.
A lot of these guys that you're playing with play as rookies as well, played immediately. How has that been maybe helpful leaning on their experience?
I would say, man, like being able to take those coaching points from them and as well as from your coaches, because you just never know, like, because anything could happen. Like I said, like being ready and being able to be ready when your number is called. Those guys that are vets and everybody here has been making sure that all those rookies have been on point and being able to have those coaching points when that time comes and their coaches say something that we need to answer to, we know we'll be ready for it. So honestly, man, I appreciate everything that's been going on here, man. They took us in and making sure that we're ready for whatever happens. So it's been really good here.
That was Khalil Benson. Doesn't sound like a rookie, does he? Certainly doesn't carry himself like a rookie. Hasn't performed in camp like a rookie either. I'm really excited to see what he looks like out there against the Rams on Saturday. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this 3 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk next. We are 34 days out of kickoff for the Kansas City Chiefs. The intermittent countdown to Chiefs kickoff. It's become kind of intermittent. We've had so much stuff going on. I apologize that it's been as intermittent as it has been, but we are 34 days from kickoff between the Chiefs and the Broncos to open up the 2026 campaign for the Chiefs. Number 34 on the roster might be the single most obscure player on the 90-man roster who has actually appeared in an NFL game. Point of fact, he's appeared in 6 NFL games, 3 with Cleveland in 2023, 3 with the Broncos in 2024. He is Tanner McAllister. He plays defensive back. He played his college football at Ohio State. I can tell you, I assumed one thing about Tanner McAllister's appearance that turned out not to be true. I've known nothing about this person. He's had an NFL career. There's some NFL experience there. He's obviously kicked around for quite some time over the last 4 years, lived that itinerant practice squad, edge of the 53-man life. But as far as guys who've actually appeared in an NFL game, I don't think there's a more obscure player on the 53-man than Tanner, or the 90-man rather, than Tanner McAllister. We're going to talk about the 53-man coming up in the next hour. Who's locked in? How many spots are really up for grabs? Plus, Wildcat Wrap-Up with Tim Fitzgerald coming up on 580 Sports Talk on WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Wednesday afternoon. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device, on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel in living color, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. With you until 6 o'clock tonight. More late-night Royals baseball coming up. Their swing through Greater Los Angeles continues this weekend when they go play the Angels for 3. First, though, they have to try and avoid being swept by the two-time defending World Series champion Dodgers. Another 8:30 pregame and 9:10 first pitch from Chavez Ravine tonight. Battle of lefties, Daniel Lynch for Kansas City, Eric Lauer for the Dodgers. Right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll still talk a little Royals in the 5 o'clock hour. Lots to come here in the next 2 hours worth of program. We're going to talk about the Chiefs roster and how many spots on the 53-man roster are really and truly up for grabs. Spencer and I will debate that here a little bit. Also, of course, at 5:25, another training camp report with the great Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He'll join us, courtesy Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union, for our 8th installment of this month's training camp reports, focusing in on the veteran backup tight end Noah Gray as we continue our focus on players who need a bounce-back 2026 season. Also, joining us at the bottom of this hour, Tim Fitzgerald, publisher at GoPowerCat.com. He's going to join us for the Wildcat Wrap-Up as we get closer and closer to the start of the college sports season. We are 25 days from kickoff for the Cats at home against Nichols at Bill Snyder Family Stadium on September 4th. That'll be a 6 p.m. kickoff that night, and I believe that will be a game that you will hear on our sister station. We don't have all of the details from the schedule just yet, but that will be a game that you'll hear on our sister station, the Big 94.5 Country, from start to finish. A 6 o'clock kickoff means a 4 o'clock pregame coming from the K-State Sports Network from Learfield. We'll talk to Fitz about what he heard from head coach Colin Klein, his first press conference of the fall yesterday, and everything else developing in the world of K-State athletics. Tim Fitzgerald at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour.
I'm excited to purposefully call Tim today.
Yes, you're calling him on purpose today, and not because the guy sitting in this chair was a dummy. So he knows he's looking forward to your call. Anyhow, we got What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour. 2 new stories competing there. We'll play a little round of One Gotta Go. So we got headlines, some baseball talk, as we mentioned. Lots of good stuff still to come on the show today. You can give us a text if you would like to be a part of the program today. The text line is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. Name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. That's real easy to find. Go subscribe, too, if you've yet to do so. You're going to want to be subscribed before we do the Hot Wing Challenge. Coming before August 27th is the best we can tell you. But before the end of the show on August 27th, Spencer Dupuis and I are going to eat hot wings. I did not eat anything hot and spicy for lunch today. I had leftover pizza. But I am continuing to mentally and physically steel myself. And this is the thing that's going to happen. Like, we're going to pick a sauce. And somebody's going to say, that sauce ain't nothing. I had a hotter sauce. The hottest sauce I've ever had 1 million Scoville units. And look, we are going to pick out the hottest sauce that we can pick out that we think will allow us to continue to host a radio show after we eat the wings. Okay?
Yeah, so I'm putting up for vote that we do this at the bottom of the 5 o'clock hour after Mitch.
You sound like a coward, Spencer. Well, you don't think you can handle it?
I don't know. I just think I'd rather do
all I'm saying.
All but a small portion of the show without having to dump out. And
so, like, we're not going to wimp out and be like, ooh, here's a medium buffalo wing sauce. We will not be wimping out, but we might not become like the burning sprint to the toilet sauce of your choice. If you think that we are perhaps not pushing the ultimate outer limits of heat on the sauce that we end up choosing, just know there's going to be a reason for that, because we're gonna have to do a show.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do a show after we eat the hot wings with burning lips. We must press on.
I'm bringing a gallon of milk in that day.
Milk, ice cream, whichever you got.
I'm going to go down to Sam's Club and get me a gallon of milk in the morning.
That might be the move. Maybe half gallon. You don't want it to spoil unless you need a gallon at home. We go through so much milk having a 2-year-old in the house, and he drinks whole milk, and I don't. So we have milk for the boy, milk for my wife and I. We're 2%ers, my wife and I. And but he, they tell you, younger kids, you want to drink the whole milk.
Yeah.
So he drinks the whole milk. Listen, I got nothing against whole milk. It's just I have been drinking 2% my whole life, and I'm afraid to change. I'm afraid of what change would bring. So, yeah, whatever your beverage or heat defense shield for your lips, teeth, and tongue of choice, yeah, you'll want to bring it. We're going to do that coming up on 580 Sports Talk. A text from the 785 suggests milkshake to defeat the spiciness, like a vanilla milkshake. Because I can't imagine doing chocolate.
Yeah,
maybe like a vanilla milkshake, though. I could see that. Another suggestion from the 785, let your listeners vote and decide on the sauce. That's an interesting thought there. It's an interesting thought. We
just got to figure out
once we have a date
and the place in which
once we have a date and a source of wings.
Yes, of wings.
We'll go from there. Again, 785-272-9429 is the text line, and 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel. So I went back and looked. We did this exercise last year, and I think at this time in the preseason, on the cusp of the first preseason game for the Chiefs, we decided there were something like 48 to 49 of the 53-man roster spots that were a cinch, that were locked in. There wasn't any debate. Like, okay, these guys are obviously part of the 53-man roster. And that did not leave, as you can imagine, much wiggle room for actually making the roster. The spots that were up for grabs, you're obviously always talking like back of the roster. How many spots does Dave Tobe get for just special teams? Do you want to carry 10 O linemen or 10 D linemen or both? How many quarterbacks? That kind of thing. Those end up being the debates.
Do you, for your initial 53, pick maybe a special teams guy that is a corner because you got a couple corners who are questionable maybe going into the season? I don't know. That could be part of the tactic.
So I went through the roster, the 90 today, and I tried to be as generous as I could with the terminology of being a lock to make the 53. Like, guys, I was more generous with this than I was last year, where I went into this exercise last year thinking, man, if there's even a shredded out that guy's not going to make the team, I'm going to leave him off. And I tried to be a little bit more forgiving this time through, and I could still only get to 46 guys that I feel like definitely are making the roster. Definitely, without any question, going to be there for opening day. 46. Here's my 46. Patrick Mahomes and Justin Fields at quarterback. No debate there. 3 running backs, Kenneth Walker, Amari DeMercado, Emmett Johnson, the rookie. 5 wide receivers, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, Cyrus Allen, Jalen Royals. 2 tight ends. This might be where I wasn't generous enough. 2 tight ends, Travis Kelce, Noah Gray. How many are they going to keep? If they only keep 3, Jared Wiley, who left practice with an injury today, does he get bumped because he's never been healthy?
I think it was a hamstring.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not generous enough there, and need to include Wiley anyway because they've invested some development in him. But I've only got 2 tight ends nailed on. I've got 9 offensive linemen. Your projected starters from left tackle to right guard: Simmons, Sumatai, Humphrey, and Smith. Then the 2 battling out at right tackle: Moore and Benson, Esapole, Mike Caliendo, Hunter Norzad. That gets you to 9. Got 9 defensive linemen. The Emmanuel Ogbah signing isn't official yet, but once it becomes official, he joins that group of 8 we were talking about yesterday. Karlaftis Jones,
he was
Tonga.
at practice today.
He was at practice, but the signing hasn't hit the wire yet.
Oh, okay.
He was at practice, but he wasn't uniform on. He was there. Karlaftis Jones, Tonga, Gelati, Woods, Thomas, Felix, and Omar Norman-Lott, who's on the PUP list, which, put a pin in that. At linebacker, I think I have 5: Bolton, Tranquil, Cooper McDonald, Jeffrey Bassa, and Jack Cochran. Those, I think, are all going to make the team. Defensive back, this is tough because I think they've got a lot of really good ones in camp. I think there are 8 locks at defensive back right now. Mansour Delane, Noel Williams, Chris Rowland Wallace, Aloha Gilman, Shamari Connor, Jaden Hicks, Jaden Kennedy, L'Jarius Sneed. I left some veterans off that list, but I think those are 8 locks. And then your special teams guys: Harrison Butker, Matt Araiza, James Winchester. That gets me to 46. So with 7 spots available, you can go an extra wide receiver or an extra running back. I think one of the two. Probably 2 wide. Let me backtrack. You're going to need an extra wide receiver. That gets you to 47. You're going to need an extra tight end. That gets you to 48. You're going to need, I think, at least 1 more defensive back for sure to get you to 9 for sure. There's 49. And then you've got 4 spots left that can kind of be whatever. That could be a 3rd quarterback, could be a 4th running back, 7th wide receiver, 4th tight end, 10th O-line, 10th D-line, 6th linebacker, 9th DB. 4 spots that can be whatever you want. But 3 spots for sure that are going to go to a wide receiver, a tight end, and a defensive back that I didn't name there. I think the most likely guys there are probably, at this point, Andrew Armstrong at wide receiver, Jared Wiley at tight end, and, Christian Fulton at defensive back. Man, the defensive back is where it's really interesting to me. Because you've got a lot of guys who have experience in the league. You've got Fulton. They gave a 2-year contract to Fulton going into last year. So they gave Fulton some money, and they ain't cut him. They held him through the offseason, so he's there. Kader Kohu is there, coming off of an injury. Kyer Elam's got NFL experience. He's there. But Kevin Knowles played a lot last year. You forget, Kevin Knowles played 13 games.
He kind of had to.
Well, he forced the issue by being a special teams option.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't play 13 games at corner. He forced the issue as a special teams option. So he was active 13 games last year. So they like him. Melvin Smith is another one that they like. And there will inevitably be somebody who flashes during the preseason games because they coach up their defensive backs really well, and they get good work out of guys. Like maybe it's Zelmar Vetter, who is always first to the practice field, beats Matt Derrick to the practice field every day. Maybe it's him. But if you're looking at 2 more defensive back spots, you've got 3 vets. You've got 2 guys that you've sort of tried to mold yourself, and you don't have room for all of them. You don't have room for, if you keep Fulton and Knowles, you don't have room for Kohu. If you try and slip Knowles through to your practice squad, you might not be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because he played enough last year and proved himself enough as a special teams guy. You might not be able to get Melvin Smith. He's a little bit more likely to get through the practice squad. But, like, what do you do at that spot? Do you keep the veterans and hope that your young guys slide through? I even mentioned Xavier Wampa. That's another one who had a really good mini camp as an undrafted rookie, and that Dave Tobe we know really likes. He could be an option. I think you got to
see all these guys in game action first. I think you can't make any judgments on undrafted free agents.
Obviously, but I do think that that's where the decision at defensive back is fascinating to me. If they've got 8 locked in, and I think they do, they're probably going to carry 10. Do they side with guys who are vets, or do they side with guys who are maybe younger, less experienced, but have been in their room longer? Like, if it comes down to Kevin Knowles or Kader Kohu, and I understand that outside of One Arrowhead Drive and outside of the Chiefs' kingdom, this is not the most exciting debate to have over who makes the team between Kader Kohu and Kevin Knowles, but I think it is interesting because it goes to what is the philosophy that the Chiefs are looking to have when it comes to building their roster. We've talked about being younger, trying to be a younger football team. Does that include staying with your own guys, giving your own guys a chance to break through? Or,
I think that's where they might have, where guys like Kevin Knowles might have the upper hand per se, because they've seen him play multiple games special teams. Dave Tobe knows what he's got from Kevin Knowles.
And he always gets roster spots, right? Like,
yeah.
That's well known. Tobe gets a guy or two, maybe even 3 at the back of the 53 that they make the team because they're trusted 4-phase special teams guys.
Yeah. What you say 46 guys, I think 48. I think they're going to I think a third tight end's a definite, and I think it is Wiley because they've invested so much.
So you think Wiley's a lock? Okay.
Barring this injury being season ending, I don't know.
This is all barring injury.
Yes.
Like Norman Lotz on the PUP could start the year on the short-term IR. But anyway, who's your other one?
This might sound surprising, but 1, they invested a draft pick in him, and 2, I think he's going to play a good portion of the preseason. Garrett Nussmeier.
I don't think that's that outlandish. I really don't.
Because you drafted him, and you're not playing your star quarterback at all. So Garrett Nussmeier is going to get a lot of snaps, I think, in the second and third preseason game.
The problem for Nussmeier might wind up being he isn't very good. Is the gentlest way. Like, nobody is coming away from Chiefs camp. Like, this going all the way back even to the rookie camp, nobody has come out of Chiefs camp and been like, boy, who's really spinning it? Garrett Nussmeier. Wow. This kid, he's showing all the traits. He looks like you'd expect a multi-year starter in the SEC to look. Like, he's got bad back. He's got some real physical problems, and he hasn't really performed well. That's the only...
He's better than...
Chris Oladokun?
Chris Oladokun.
It would be hard to imagine him not being better than what we saw from Oladokun in the final 3 games of the last regular season. That much is true. But this is the thing. You can get Oladokun through to your practice squad. You get Nussmeier through. Because if you don't keep Nussmeier in the 53, expose him to waivers, and any team could pick him up and add him to their 53-man roster, do you think a team... That's really what it comes down to for the Chiefs is the gamble. Do you think another team is going to pick him up? And that's where Nussmeier playing a bunch in the preseason is going to either work for the Chiefs or against the Chiefs. Because if he goes out there and does play well in live games, even against, guys who are going to be teaching gym in a month, then it's going to be really hard to slide him through waivers. It's going to force the Chiefs to kind of keep him as their third quarterback on the roster, which most teams, including the Chiefs, have preferred not to do that. That's kind of why Oladokun's been valuable to them, because I'm trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't sound mean.
Yeah.
But, nobody's chomping at the bit to add Chris Oladokun to their organization. They haven't seen enough of him to feel like, that's worth a 53-man roster spot to us. So the Chiefs, can develop him and have him be the scout team guy and develop him at their own pace because they understand every year they can just slide him through the practice squad and nobody's going to go and grab him. They tried to do that for years with Shane Buechele, but Buechele played a little too well in the preseason, and eventually they lost him.
A.
Yeah, they lost him. So that's where Nussmeier can make the 53 with how he plays in games in a way that I think there are some guys that maybe can't do that, but he really can. It's just a very unique situation of being a third quarterback.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting guy to consider because I do think, especially if we don't see Mahomes, it could be, Fields for a whole first half, Nussmeier for the bulk of the second half, or Nussmeier and Oladokin split time in the second half. It'll be interesting to see how they split that playing time if indeed Mahomes doesn't play, at least in the preseason opener.
Well, because I feel like the finale, right? You're not playing Justin Fields.
You probably are if you think Mahomes is no restrictions, all systems go for week one. If you're not worried at all about Mahomes, then yeah, you play Fields like he's your backup.
Yeah.
Which you play him a bunch in the preseason. But if you think, again, like we're one bad step away from needing Fields week one, then yeah, okay, fine. Garrett Nussmeier and Chris Oladokin can have it.
I just
maybe they will anyway, but
they're in such a tough spot because Patrick has made such a miraculous recovery and done freaky Patrick Mahomes recovery things. Like, I feel like if it was any other quarterback, they may be more cautious with their backup. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm at 46, I think it's going to be 2 extra defensive backs to 48. It'll be 2 extra tight ends because I do think they'll keep 4. That gets you to 50. Wide receiver 6. Running back number 4 / wide receiver number 7. Basically Smith or Remigio. And then that final roster spot could be bonus lineman, bonus quarterback, bonus linebacker, or if you're feeling really good about health at all those spots, okay, fine. Yeah, if you got to keep Nussmeier and go 18 total linemen, that's what you do. But that's kind of where I think things are going to shake out. And it feels a little bit more competitive this time than it did last year. To circle all the way back to the point I was making at the beginning of this, was where last year you were the defending champs and you had a bunch of guys who'd been on the team for a long time and you had made financial commitments too, and your team was pretty well settled, and you don't quite have as much of that certainty.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't. When you go 6-11, you shouldn't have that level of certainty. Yeah. We'll take a timeout. Tim Fitzgerald's going to join us about 10 minutes for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up here in just a little bit as well. But first, quick word for my friends at Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon. It's hot out. The sun's out, reflecting off of your car. You want it to reflect that shine, right? You want it to look good when you're rolling in to the parking lot, your first day at school. Maybe it's your first day at a new job. Maybe you're a sales representative. You want to make a good first impression rolling up into the parking lot. Whatever you got to do to make a good first impression with your ride, Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon will help you because they will clean your car like it belongs to them. That's how much they care about the quality of the shine being displayed on the streets of their hometown right here in Topeka. Soar with the Eagle Auto Wash and Detailing Salon at Fairlawn Plaza here in the capital city. More 580 Sports Talk next. So what is wrong with you time on 580 Sports Talk? We've got two news stories competing today. Try and take down our winner from Monday, Machete versus Hatchet. Couple of guys in Florida, naturally, fighting over a woman. One of them had a machete and one of them had a hatchet. Kind of like, as it was compared to in the story, the big news anchor brawl in Anchorman. That escalated quickly. That really got out of hand fast. Two news stories today. Spencer, I will have you go first.
All right, we're going to DeSoto County, Florida. A Florida man is accused of driving 110 miles per hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone, was arrested early August 1st under the state's new super speeder law after telling a deputy he was rushing to catch his cheating girlfriend. A deputy with the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office said he clocked Gavin Ames driving 110 in the 60-mile-per-hour zone around 12:47 a.m. on August 1st during a traffic enforcement stop. When asked why he was driving so fast, body cam footage showed Ames telling the deputy he was on his way to his cheating girlfriend's house. The deputy instructed Ames to step out of the car, placed his hands behind his back, and handcuffed him. The deputy asked Ames if he was aware of the new Florida law, and basically if you're over 50 miles an hour over the speed, they can now arrest you for it. Ames said on the body cam video, "I'm just in shock right now." Quote, "I'm in the back of a cop car listening to Boss Man D-Lo at 1 a.m. in the morning to catch my cheating girlfriend. Now I'm going to get bailed out by her."
Feels like guerrilla marketing for Boss Man D-Lo.
Yeah, so that law took effect last year, but a lot of people getting arrested.
His hit song is called "Get In With Me," and it sounds like someone's getting in with his girlfriend.
Yeah, but you can't go 60 miles an hour, or you can't go 50 miles an hour over the speed in Florida, or you shouldn't do that anywhere, really.
No, you really shouldn't.
Unless it's a racetrack.
I understand being emotional. That's a tough situation. Feel for him. Can have a little sympathy if indeed his woman was running around on him. But you can't go 110 in a 60, man. That is 12:47 in the morning. That is not.
Then having to call her though.
Yeah, that's tough.
Hey, can you bail me out?
Can you bail me out? Hey, can you put down what you're doing, or who, and come bail me out? That's tough. Yeah, tough scene for Gavin. Real tough scene. For my story today, we're going to Arizona. Do you have a front vanity plate on your personal vehicle?
I do not. I've thought about it, but I don't.
So, because you grew up in Virginia, do you have to have two visible
in Virginia?
license plates?
Yes, but where I bought my car in West Virginia, you don't.
Okay.
So I didn't have one of those things, so I'd have to attach something in order to put one on.
So I grew up in Colorado, and you have to have two visible plates.
Yes.
You have to have a front and a back. Obviously, in Kansas, as anyone listening to this in Kansas knows, you only have to have one visible plate. So many people use that front plate as a place to put a vanity plate. Maybe it's something humorous. Maybe it's something, their local high school or their favorite sports team. Mine says Denver Nuggets 2023 NBA Finals champions. I'm not sure there are a whole lot like it in Shawnee County.
Did you just dox your car?
I've been doxed driving around, and people have known that that's me. I think anybody listening to this show, and I know for a fact, if anybody's listened to this show for any amount of time and knows like who I root for, my sports allegiances, that has seen my car or seen it close enough to see that vanity plate, goes, I wonder if that's Dan. Well, it is. All right, spoiler, it is. Be nice to it. Don't key me. Anyway, This person in Flagstaff, Arizona, had a vanity license plate that read, "Arrive alive, drive sober, or get pulled over." Feel like they might have gotten that as like a promotion from like a highway patrol event or something like that.
Yeah.
Or, maybe they feel really passionately about not driving drunk. If they felt so passionately about it, they had a funny way of showing it because they got pulled over for DUI on Saturday.
Yikes.
Troopers stopped a pickup truck driver on Route 66 for a broken taillight. When they pulled the driver over, authorities say they immediately noticed signs of impairment. The driver admitted to drinking and driving, and a blood alcohol test showed the driver was 2.5 times the legal limit. They took a picture. The Arizona Department of Public Safety posted a picture of the vanity plate next to the breathalyzer that read .199. Yowzers. DPS officials call it, quote, "a lesson in practice what you preach." I'll say.
Yeah.
So we've got guys speeding to try and catch his his cheating girlfriend, and that would be a very interesting wrinkle to the story. And we got a guy with the arrive alive, drive sober license plate who was not, in fact, driving sober at all, not even close.
I think that one wins.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I'm sure the police, they got the picture posed and everything. They said, "Hey, man, we got to get a picture of this plate with the little breathalyzer screen in the shot. We got to pose for this one. This is one we're going to tell all our cop buddies about." I think that one wins today. Do we think it beats Machete versus Hatchet?
No. I don't think so. I think it's close. But
Machete versus Hatchet is, there's simplicity, and one guy had a machete and one guy had a hatchet. I do though find it funny for a guy getting popped for DUI with a drive sober, get pulled over plate on. That I just wonder where he got it. Like that, I can't imagine that's like a real popular one to buy at like Hot Topic or wherever you would buy.
I think it was probably a giveaway.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been a giveaway.
Promotional giveaway at one of these events.
Anyway.
Maybe it was one of those here's what drunk driving looks like events where you wear the goggles.
Yeah, that's a good one, but we'll go with Machete versus Hatchet as a winner. Shout out to the texter from the 785, who is the one who doxed me in person over my Nuggets vanity plate on my car.
Oh, so he worked there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to you, texter. I will not dox you, on the other hand. I will just say, how's it going, sir? Thanks for listening. Yeah. And to all the rest of you, don't key my car. And let's talk to Tim Fitzgerald when we come back on 580 Sports Talk.
Not a big fan of sticky.
What a great day to be a Wildcat.
It's a big Kansas State victory.
We are joined on the Flaming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com for this week's Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Fitz, how are you, my friends? Good to hear from you.
Who is this? Who's called me?
We did it on purpose this time, Fitz.
Good to be back. I'm back.
It's great to hear you. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to hear you on the press conference, Colin Klein's press conference yesterday. We're happy to have you back here on 580 Sports Talk. Speaking of that press conference, Fitz, what stood out most to you about what Colin Klein had to say about his team yesterday?
Well, what stuck out the most was he kind of pulled a Snyder and was very vague about a lot of stuff. Didn't get a lot of depth chart stuff. But you know what? They're in their first week or so of fall practice. And I think they're making some key decisions right now on who's deserving to be on the field, particularly at defensive tackle and linebacker, some of the back-end guys too. And it sounds like on offense, they kind of know what they have. Maybe the offensive line needs to be sorted out a little bit since there were so many injuries in the fall or spring. But I think they kind of zeroed in on that. I think the defense is a little bit more chaotic. But he did say that the spring was very physical, and they picked that up right where they left off. So they're being physical again. So that tells me Colin Klein wants to find out who's going to be physical whenever it's needed, and not just when it's convenient for them. And, if they're sorting that out and this team's more physical, I think that's a good sign.
You mentioned pulling a Bill Snyder there and just kind of double back. I sort of brought that up on yesterday's show where, there are some teams that'll do some media availability after every fall practice or after many of their fall practices, have a lot of them open to the media. And that is not the case at Kansas State. And is that kind of a suggestion that, okay, this isn't Bill Snyder's program, but it's Colin Klein's program. So in some ways, it's going to feel like Bill Snyder's program when it comes to keeping some things a little bit closer to the vest?
Yeah. I mean, you look at it, that's who he learned most of what he's doing now from. And he also has strong evidence that what Bill Snyder did worked. So why not follow some of that? Their personalities are wildly different. But Colin is very methodical in his thinking and very organized, which are Snyder traits. And, one of the core components to how Bill Snyder handled virtually everything in the program is what helps me win. Talking to the media didn't help him win. It might help him recruit and do some fringe things, but not actually win the games. So he wasn't really interested in sharing a whole bunch with us. And honestly, the decision also was made that, the fans don't need to know about injuries and all the depth chart stuff going on because that doesn't help me win. So maybe Collins picked up some of that, but also he looked incredibly tired. I think they've been going at it nonstop with little sleep, and maybe he was just having one of those days.
Little 4 a.m. Taco Bell fixed that. Yeah. That was a staple of the Snyder years as well, of course. Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com joining us here for the Wildcat Wrap-Up on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Wednesday at this time. You mentioned that there seems to be a little bit less settled on the defense than the offense right now. Is there any position in particular that you feel like is more of a concern to not have figured out, or at least that Colin Klein maybe alluded that wasn't quite all the way settled at this point in camp? Was there a position or any other that made you feel like, oh, this could be a potential problem area?
Well, I think defensive tackle must be because, we mentioned Burns, who's established in the middle there, has done a good job. But right now it looks like kind of maybe Travis Bates is going to be the other starting D tackle. Seemed really soft on that. Keep in mind, they keep bringing in D tackles. They brought late JUCO one, and I don't think they found the answer they want. And that is a concern. If you're not good at defensive tackle, you're going to struggle. And so they got to sort that out.
How about on the back end? Seems like it's going to be pretty competitive at safety. Colin Klein was asked directly about Jason Prevard, who's maybe the most experienced of the transfers that they've added on the back end through the portal this year, and wouldn't commit necessarily to Prevard being a first choice or locked into any certain spot, that there are a lot of guys in competition for playing time at that position. Do you sense that that's maybe a position of strength where Kansas State feels good about what they have at safety, or where maybe they're a little concerned that nobody's separating at safety?
I think it's a fairly deep spot. I mean, they inherited some players that can play, and I think, we're going to see how this shakes out. But it sounds like Prevard's at safety back there. We all assumed it might be nickel because that's what he played before, but he listed some other guys at that spot. So I think they got a lot of competition on the back end. But another Bill Snyder tactic might have been at play here. The guy hasn't had a great fall. He's clearly a really good player, but hasn't had a great fall, whether it's effort or just not performing well. And he kind of doesn't mention him. It makes it sound like he slipped down the depth chart. They try to get a little fire under him because he also knows that the players will listen to these things. But it's interesting. I think they're deep on the back end. They just don't know who it's going to be yet.
Tim Fitzgerald is our guest, publisher at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, joining us here for the Wildcat Wrap-Up presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Lots of praise for the tight ends, and Kansas State's obviously had real good success and real good production in recent years out of the tight end position. Garrett Oakley was a guy that Colin Klein mentioned, maybe already getting some NFL attention. And obviously Lincoln Cure, entering his second season, is a guy with 5-star ceiling. What do you think the best use of the tight ends this year for Kansas State ends up being? Is there a version of this offense where Oakley especially, and Cure maybe more as he grows as a player, become maybe the most reliable targets for Avery Johnson this year, the third down go-to guys, the guys who maybe keep the passing game on schedule as the wide receiver room congeals?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're going to see those two used on the field a lot together, and maybe not as tight ends. I mean, we might see Cure split out, and that gives you some flexibility to do some things with personnel that might get the wrong defensive personnel on the field for what you're actually going to do. I thought that'd be a tactic they used last season, and it wasn't particularly. I think we probably are dealing with a little bit more of a offensive thinker here that knows how to set the table for these things. But I think those two tight ends, that's just a deep spot. It was last year. It will be in the future. And Lincoln Cure has a huge upside, as big upside as any tight end at K-State's ever had. So I think him and Oak, you got to get them on the field because they're both really reliable, dangerous weapons.
You mentioned also feels like the offensive line still having to shake out a bit. There have been some injuries there. They still don't have George Fitzpatrick all the way back, who was looking like a starter last year before the medical incident that he went through. For this group, what do you consider to be maybe the ceiling for this offensive line? How good can it be, and how far, though, might it be from its ceiling when the rubber meets the road?
Great point. It's probably going to be a work in progress since the tackles were missing in the spring. I think the freshman Miller is going to see the field where he's a tackle. So what's that mean? Is he going to be the third tackle and shuffle guys around with Hawkins out there? I saw him on video. He's out there running. I think they're going to have depth on the line. I just think sorting out the right 5 to 8 guys is what they're after right now. But I do think it's going to take them a while to learn all the steps of their dance partners because everyone's got to be in sync with each other to do it the right way.
A few more questions for Tim Fitzgerald to GoPowerCat.com, joining us for the Wildcat Wrap-Up, sponsored by Tallgrass Windows and Doors here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz, always like to get your take on the big picture college sports topics of the day. The Protect College Sports Act didn't get to a vote before the Senate's August recess. There's apparently a promise that there will be a vote when the Senate reconvenes in September, but that and $1 will probably buy you a newspaper, that particular promise. Yep. What do you make of the inability to get that to a vote? Do you feel like this is going to be another instance, again, where the NCAA relying on the government to try and give them a little bit of muscle is ultimately going to backfire?
Could be. Without some government intervention, the courts will continue to wreak havoc with college sports. So they really need it. But, a promise from politicians that they'll get something done isn't a good sign. Because the only time you know when a politician is going to get something done is when he actually does it, or she. Because the Senate right now doesn't seem real interested in doing much of anything. And I think this was one they thought they could slide through and kind of make a big splash with without, much pushback. But then there's been some pushback. And I'll be honest, I don't see this ever passing because I think the SEC and Big Ten will always torpedo it in some way. We tried to fix it, but we just couldn't come to the right conclusion. I think they're just in it for themselves, and that's not a good sign. We'll see what they do when they reconvene, but they're going to have a lot of other stuff on their plate, too.
A lot of havoc right now with players who played 4 years of college and were ruled to not get a fifth year after having been part of the class of 2026, despite the change in eligibility rules, then being given a blanket injunction to have their eligibility to play restored for a fifth year. So obviously this situation right now is chaos, but Colin Klein doesn't seem like he's all that concerned about sifting through fifth-year guys. Casey Alexander, it seems like he's got a full roster as is. So is there really going to be that much impact for Kansas State in the short term with their roster building in the major sports when it comes to that extra fifth year?
My guess is with football, they haven't identified anyone that they can both afford and want. That's something that people didn't really talk about. I mean, a lot of programs wrapped up their NIL budget because they thought their rosters were done. Now you get some, veteran players looking for new homes. They're not going to want to play cheap if they're worth having on your team. So I think that's going to be a problem. I think if there was a great defensive tackle out there, K-State would find a way to get the money for him. But I don't know if there's anything out there that they can really afford and want to add. And plus, they might be near their 105 anyhow and not really want to mess with it.
Tim Fitzgerald is the publisher of GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Now's a great time to be a VIP subscriber at 24/7 Sports to get the Go PowerCat Cruise inside info on the Kansas State Wildcats. This is the Wildcat Wrap-Up, presented by Tallgrass Windows and Doors, who provide high-quality products at affordable prices. You can check out their showrooms in either Wamego or Lawrence, or visit them online at tallgrasswindows.com. Excellence without exception. That's Tallgrass Windows and Doors. Fitz, it is always a pleasure, my friend. Great to hear from you.
Thank you.
That is Tim Fitzgerald. We'll take a break, come back with one gotta go to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. So one got to go time here on 580 Sports Talk to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour on this Wednesday. Spencer, you got a one got to go for us today?
Yeah, it's kind of easy. It's kind of fun. If you could pick one guy to be the next wave of Chris Jones on the defensive line, who would it be? R. Mason Thomas, Omar Norman Lott, or Peter Woods?
Woods definitely feels the most like Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's also they play in very similar positions as opposed to the edge.
Now, if you're asking me who it is most important to get a good year out of in 2026, my answer might be Thomas.
Yeah.
He certainly still argue for Woods. Thomas is just so interesting because the Chiefs haven't really rostered anyone like him in the last handful of years. And his prototype of speed edge rusher who doesn't have like the ideal size to maybe hold up against a run, we just haven't seen that player on the roster. We haven't seen how Steve Spagnuolo wants to use that kind of player on the Chiefs roster. So he's a fascinating guy this year, R. Mason Thomas. And I feel like that too. He goes under the radar a little bit because Peter Woods is getting all the attention on the defensive line, and like rightfully so. He was a first-round pick. He was a potential top 5, top 10 talent in the draft, and he's delivering on all that potential so far. So it's understandable that another rookie at the same spot kind of gets overshadowed. But by all accounts, been a decent camp for Thomas, and I'm just really interested to see how they use him.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that obviously he was used in such a way in college, and you just mentioned it. The Chiefs haven't really had a guy like that. So if they can use him to his best potential, I think he could be the heir apparent to Chris Jones, but I think Peter Woods makes the most sense.
Yeah, he's going to be really fun to watch in the preseason opener. He tweaked an ankle today at practice, but nobody seemed all that concerned about it. He kept going. Like, he kept working through the day after he went down. He got back up. He stayed in the drill on the play where he got hurt. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything real concerning there. I'm excited to see him in game action because I want to see if it's like what it was when Chris Jones was a rookie where, all right, you're playing against twos and you have no business playing against twos. Like, that's what I expect it to look like from Peter Woods in his first NFL action on Saturday in that preseason opener against the Rams. Game you'll hear right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9, 2 p.m. pregame, 3 o'clock kick on Saturday. We got one more hour of 580 Sports Talk. We've got headlines coming up to start the hour. We'll talk to Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, at 5:25 for another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Zurich Credit Union. And we'll set the table for some more late-night Royals baseball. That's all coming up on 580 Sports Talk right here on WIBW. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk for your Wednesday. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis hanging with you on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, on your mobile device on the MSC radio app, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. With you until 6 o'clock. Royals baseball is late again tonight. The third game of the three-game series between the Royals and the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Royals have lost a pair of one-run games to start the series, hoping to avoid the sweep tonight. Daniel Lynch will make his second start. Eric Lauer on the bump for the Dodgers. 8:30 pregame, 9:15 first pitch tonight from Chavez Ravine. You can catch it right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll talk a little Royals baseball later on this hour. Last night's game, if you stayed up for it, you saw a good ball game, entertaining ball game, frustrating one again for the Royals. Opportunities to execute by the wayside. Really, it was a Royals loss like many of the Royals losses that have come before it this year, where the Royals were undone by a lack of offensive execution with runners in scoring position and an inability to get a third out with the bullpen or with any of their pitchers. All of the Dodgers' damage seemed to come with two outs last night, and that's kind of the story of the season for the 49-72 Royals. So we'll talk about that. But also, was there a ray of hope for the Royals bullpen? Is a ray of hope beginning to emerge for that beleaguered Royals relief corps? We'll get into that. Also, coming up at 5:25, it's Mitch Holthus with another training camp report. The voice of the Chiefs will join us in about 17 minutes or so for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union as Prove It Week continues. Prove It Week, Bounce Back Week, Show Me Something Week, however you want to phrase it. Noah Gray is the man under the microscope in the spotlight today on our training camp report with Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, coming up at 5:25. We've also got our headlines as well. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Text us your thoughts, your questions, or just advocate for me switching from 2% milk to whole milk, as a couple of you did on the text line earlier.
Yeah, I think
today.
you're in like the wrong state, or you're in a state where you're going to get feedback.
Well,
that's for sure.
Sure. I welcome any and all feedback. We were talking about milk by way of talking about our upcoming hot wing challenge on 580 Sports Talk. And you got to do milk. Like water with the spicy food, no, that's a no-go. You got to do milk. Milk will turn down that temperature. And mentioned that we buy, my wife and I, we buy 2% milk for ourselves. We buy whole milk for our son, our 2-year-old son. And that hit a nerve from the 785. Dan, whole milk is so much better. If you try it, you'll never go back, from your local-ish dairy farmer listener. Hey, listen, clearly an expert on the subject. Another one from the 785. My wife and I were 2% till we had kids. We switched to whole for the same reason. We switched with them. It's way better. It just may take a few days to a week to get used to the change. That's just it. I don't like change.
1% guy.
Skim?
No.
Oh, just 1%?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't do. I drank
There's
skim once.
1%, 2%, and whole.
I drank skim once, and it was like drinking it felt like drinking water with like a hint of milk to me. I didn't skim is a hard no for me. But maybe I have to do it. Man, I'll tell you what. I don't know what we're doing for dinner tonight. My wife first day of like school with the kiddos today. It's your girlfriend's first day with the kiddos. So I think I'm going to have to make that call. I'm going to make that decision, but I might pour myself a glass of the whole milk tonight. Just see how it goes. I trust you guys. I'm putting a lot of faith in the listeners, in the commentariat. So appreciate you guys listening and texting. 785-272-9429 is the number. You can also interact with us in the live chat on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the channel on YouTube. You got to shout for chocolate milk in the text line.
Chalky milk.
I haven't had chocolate milk in a very long time. Not that I think it is bad, just that I'm 39 years old. That's it. Like, that's where it comes down to for me. I say that like age is a barrier. Like, my mother-in-law will occasionally order a chocolate milk when we go out for brunch. And I am not going to tell you that she is also 39. How about that? She is also 39. How about that? But no, I haven't had chocolate milk in a very long time. Some people do strawberry milk. Hard no for me.
Hard no.
I can't. I've said this before on the show. I am the kind of person I eat with my eyes. Like, I'm very much like it has to look appealing. Like, the presentation has to look appealing for me to try it. I'm very much a visual eater. Pink milk is a no, brother.
Yeah, pink ice cream, a no too. Strawberry.
Yeah, I don't really like,
no.
And I love strawberries, but I don't really like strawberry ice cream. And I don't know, like, strawberry, like, I'll do a strawberry smoothie, but a shake, no. And I don't know why mentally there's a difference there for me. That's probably something for like a food therapist to unpack. Text from the 785 says strawberry milk is so good, you casuals. Okay. Texter from the 785, whom we know personally. I'm just going to have to agree to disagree.
Can we dox him?
No need.
Oh.
He knows we know. Well, we appreciate the text, 785-272-9429. Let's get into some headlines, shall we? Got a couple of quick local headlines to get you. First and foremost, if you are wanting to watch the Chiefs preseason games on television, local television, and you are within the sound of our voice here in the Topeka television market, should let you know that the television home for Chiefs preseason football is changing to KSNT. That would be channel 27 on your if you've got an antenna. That would be channel 6 if you have Cox. Channel 7, excuse me. But KSNT is going to be the new preseason home of Chiefs football for the 3 preseason games that will air this year. It will be the same TV crew, Ari Wolf on play-by-play, Trent Green in the booth with him, Kimmy Chex and Matt McMullen on the sideline. But those Chiefs preseason games, starting with Saturday's opener against the Rams, will be televised on KSNT here in Topeka. You've got a local headline as well, Spencer.
Yeah, it's really 2 headlines, but 1 headline because they didn't all happen at the same time. So earlier today, the Topeka Scarecrows announced that they had signed versatile forward Tristan Wells and defenseman Samuel Frederick ahead of their second season. Wells joins the Scarecrows following an outstanding season in Germany. I'm not even going to attempt the name of this team.
That's fine.
The 6'1", 201-pound Denver, Colorado native recorded 29 goals, 17 assists, and 46 points in 17 games during the 25-26 season. He spent 2 seasons in the FPHL, one with the Motor City Rockers and the Macon Mayhem of the Southern Professional Hockey League as well. Then Frederick He begins his professional career after a collegiate career at Missouri State University, the 6'1", 185-pound right shot defenseman. He had 4 goals, 10 assists for 14 points in 24 games this past season. He's more of the defensive defenseman, as you would say. And then later on today, just a little bit earlier from now, the Scarecrows completed a trade with the Indiana Sentinels, who ironically they opened their season with in October. They acquired defenseman Zach Ross and a player to be named later in exchange for forward Aldier Nerland. Ross, a native of Portland, Oregon, appeared in 44 FPHL games this last season. He had 11 points, 42 penalty minutes. He divided season between the Watertown Wolves, Blue Ridge Bobcats, and Indiana Sentinels. And the player to be named later will come at some point later.
That's how players to be named later usually work.
Yes.
The Scarecrows continuing to build out their roster. Again, they open the season October 16th at home against the Indiana Sentinels.
Can I plug one more thing real fast?
Yeah, go for it.
If you want to go more in depth, you can go on our website and right on the feature tab, there's a story I just published moments ago.
There you go. Keep track of what the Crows have been up to. Do people call them the Crows?
Yeah.
For short?
I think so.
Scarecrows. He's calling them the Crows for short. Anyway, keep track of what the Scarecrows have been up to as they build out their roster with the opener 2 months away.
We have potentially some Scarecrows stuff coming down the line here, so stay tuned for that if you're a big fan.
Absolutely. Let's get to some NBA headlines today. It was a big day in the NBA for headlines, notable headlines. The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold for $12.5 billion. That's a big number.
A big billion number.
Mark Walter bought the team last year. Remember that? Mark Walter, Guggenheim Partners, same guy who owns the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He bought the controlling interest in the team from the Buss family last year for $10 billion. So he just turned a nice $2.5 billion profit in a single year. But you don't spend $10 billion on something to turn around and flip it for a profit a year later, even a $2.5 billion profit, right? Like you buy something for $10 billion, you probably want to hang on to it for a long time.
Maybe he needed the money to help the Dodgers.
Well, there's another reason. On July 20th, Bloomberg reported that the federal government is conducting an investigation into Walter's Guggenheim Partners company over some suspicious accounting rights defector.
Yikes.
The heart of the issue, $1 billion worth of private credit deals between companies within Walter's business empire. At specific issue in this investigation, per the Wall Street Journal, is that nearly $21 billion in loans extended to companies tied to Walter or his conglomerate, TWG Global, wound up on the books of insurance companies he owns after passing through a third entity. So there's an investigation into that after an internal whistleblower complaint. Last year, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan and the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, began investigating. This was just not long after Walter had purchased the Lakers in the first place. So it comes to be that a year later, after a very short period of negotiations, Mark Walter sells the Lakers to two gentlemen, Bob Iger and Josh Kushner. We've talked about Josh on the program not long ago. He was part of Gianni Infantino's whole plan to try and privatize the World Cup and make a bunch of money for FIFA on the World Cup. He is a venture capitalist. Thrive Capital is the name of his company. You may be familiar with Josh's brother, Jared, and his involvement with the government vis-a-vis his marriage to the daughter of the sitting president of the United States. So we have in one corner here the federal government investigating Mark Walter, and Mark Walter turning around and selling his basketball team to the brother of the son-in-law of the sitting president.
Jeez.
If you're keeping score at home and that smells a little fishy to you, you're not alone. Bob Iger was the Disney CEO for a lot of years.
Yeah, he left and came back. He was the ESPN.
Yeah, he did. And he just recently left again. He also owns Angel City FC, along with his wife, Willow Bay, which I only recently learned that fact. Willow Bay used to host NBA Inside Stuff with Ahmad Rashad when I was a kid. Yeah. If you're my age, you know. Anyhow, another NBA headline today is that Russell Westbrook has called it a career. The 18-year NBA veteran had not much interest from the free agent market, so the 37-year-old Westbrook called it a career today in a brief video announcement that was narrated by Michael B. Jordan.
Wow.
It's nice to have friends in high places. Russell Westbrook, number 4 overall pick in the 2008 NBA draft, spent the bulk of his career with the Oklahoma City Thunder, even though technically he was drafted by the Supersonics. They moved that offseason. They were stolen from Seattle that offseason by Oklahoma City. Spent 11 years with the Thunder and won an MVP with the Thunder in 2016-17 when he became the first player since 1962 to average a triple-double for a full season. After his time with the Thunder, he began kind of a second phase of his career as a journeyman, went to the Rockets in the 2019-2020 season and played for the Rockets, Washington Wizards, Los Angeles Lakers, Los Angeles Clippers, Denver Nuggets, and Sacramento Kings to wind his career down. He started 58 games for the Kings this past season, averaged 15 points, 7 assists, and 5.5 rebounds. To the end, a productive player in all phases. Russell Westbrook, I'm trying to figure out he's a very hard guy to talk about because he's such a unique player. He was such a unique player, like a one-of-one guy as an NBA player. He could really frustrate you. He could really scare the heck out of you. He could absolutely dominate for your team or dominate the team that he was playing against. Sometimes he could do all of those things in the span of 48 minutes. Fascinating individual, truly all-time great player. And the all-time leader, he retires, is the all-time leader in triple-doubles in NBA history with 209 regular season and 220 total regular season and playoffs. That record will be broken the next time Nikola Jokic records a triple-double. And Jokic has had 198 career triple-doubles in the regular season, so he'll probably pass Westbrook sometime before this year's All-Star break. But Russell Westbrook, one of the more unique players in recent NBA history, and at his best, one of the most thrilling players to watch. Calling it a career, retiring at age 37. Give us a couple of quick NFL hitters here.
Well, I don't know if you see in there's breaking news.
Oh, yeah, this is thrilling. I don't know how this missed my radar. Go ahead.
It just came down.
You got some quarterback news to tell us.
Oh, that's not the breaking news I was talking about. I was talking about above that.
Above what?
Above the quarterback news. I just put that in there.
Oh, okay. Give it to us. Yeah, that's a big deal. Give it to us.
2027 top 20 overall recruit Javon Bardwell has decommitted from the Jayhawks and Bill Self and is reclassifying into the class of 2026, he announced.
So this is interesting because
this just coming in the last 10 minutes.
So we have talked about Bardwell being a guy who could reclassify for 2026. We've also talked about KU having 2 roster spots. We've also talked about KU maybe trying to hang on to some of those roster spots for guys who might get an extra year of eligibility. I feel like this is probably forcing Kansas's hand a little bit. Like if Kansas can go to Bardwell and say, yeah, look, okay, we're not going to play the waiting game with will Melvin Council or will Trey White get eligible. We would rather have you. Then maybe Bardwell comes back into the fold. Like just speculating here. But if he was always going to reclassify to 2026, Kansas didn't necessarily have a guaranteed roster spot for him. So this might be his way of making this public and saying, I'm going to be in the 2026 class, and I'm going to start my basketball career this season. You going to have a spot for me or not? And you got to make up your mind right now. And so putting Bill Self and co. in a bit of a bind.
He put out a statement that says, quote, I have nothing but respect and appreciation for Kansas, its staff, Coach Bill Self, Coach Tony Bland, Coach Jeremy Case, Thank you for believing in me and for the genuine relationships you developed with me and my family throughout the process. I'm excited about what lies ahead, and my recruitment is now officially reopened as a member of the class of 2026.
That'll be an interesting one to track moving forward. And that doesn't sound like it's out of the question that he returns to Kansas, but we'll see. That quarterback news, you'll have to find it yourself because headlines are done. We're going to Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs. He'll join us after this short timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. .525 on 580 Sports Talk, and we are once again thrilled to be joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for another training camp report on 580 Sports Talk. Brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs, and Assura Credit Union. Visit with the Assura Credit Union Home Loans team. And Mitch, today it's Prove It Week, continuing with Noah Gray. And to keep this as simple as possible, Noah Gray had a very productive, very solid 2024. Not so much in 2025. What changed, and how can Noah Gray get back to 2024 form for the 2026 Chiefs?
I think it was he was in the fatigue factor, too. He had been grinding away, 3 straight Super Bowls, winning 2, and just kept firing forward. There's a lot on that guy's plate, because he's also the H-back. He's the fullback of this team. He's a 4-core special teams player. And that and things just kind of also unraveled around him. And kind of what happened to the whole team happened to Noah Gray. But even if you just jump back to 24, you mentioned the productivity, 40 catches, over 400 yards. My thesis of this week is he's got to be even above that, 45 to 50 catches, 500 yards, and a few more touchdowns. And that means being tough in third down, tight window catches, red zone, be reliable and trustworthy and make plays. He's had 9 touchdowns in his 6-year career, and 5 of the 9 came in a 5-week period in 2024. It's a matter of being consistent. But I will say this, he's working at it, he understands it, and he's closer to getting to where we need him to be than he's not.
How much have you worked on precision in routes, tight window catches, red zone effectiveness?
Yeah, you got to work on it every single offseason, every single day. It's something that you can't slack off on just because, there's going to be different situations that present themselves on the field. So like I was saying before about my teammates just allowing me to up my level, it's just like when you see your teammates working as hard as they do at their craft, at the different little nuances of the game, of red zone catches, of tight window catches, it makes you want to work even harder. So it's really just a credit to those guys. It's a credit to Pat making the throws and all the other quarterbacks making the throws and the guys up front making the blocks. You can't make any plays unless those guys are working for you. So just continue to do my part, working as hard as I can, just to be the best teammate that I can to the other guys is all that I really want to be.
He has shown that propensity in camp. He's in the best physical shape he's been in his life. He worked on his upper body. I think he's one of the main exhibits of having the extra time this year, not grinding through another 6 weeks of hard games, high leverage games. He's used the time where he had some extra time to get ready. I really anticipate Noah Gray at the least getting back to that 2024 level if he stays healthy. But again, he's got to do even more than that for the Chiefs to win a division and be a Super Bowl contender. Another notch up for Noah Gray.
2 things kind of working in the favor of Gray seeing the field, and that's not to say he hasn't seen the field enough. He's been over half of the offensive snaps each of the last 4 seasons, 52% of the offensive snaps, according to Pro Football Reference last season. So he's been on the field. But 2 things work in the favor of the Chiefs doing a lot of stuff with 2 tight ends. Number one, it's kind of a more in vogue look around the league. The Chiefs have always been happy to use multiple tight ends, and more teams are doing that to try and get personnel advantages, particularly when you're going to maybe run the ball or want teams to respect the threat of play action. Obviously, the Chiefs going into this season want to renew their commitment to the run with an improved running game behind Kenneth Walker. How much can commitment to the run in a strange way maybe help Noah Gray not just be on the field more often, but be a more viable part of the offense when play action and a passing threat on downs where the defense might be called upon to respect the run?
Well, and you've heard me harp on this. It's yes, the threat to run and play action passing, but it's also those runners being a threat to catch. That gives an opportunity for Noah Gray. Because if you don't have a threat back there, then Noah Gray gets more attention. Not as much as Kelce does, but he gets more than he will. And all of a sudden, if you've got to rely or pay attention to K9, Ken Walker, on a passing player play action, Noah Gray's going to get some opportunities off that same play action look, because Walker's now going to get the attention that Noah might have gotten last year. So it's just a matter of completing the play, following through. But I do think fans need to realize there's as much on Noah Gray's plate as anybody but the quarterbacks, in my opinion, or maybe Nick Bolton because he runs the defense. And that's because Noah is the H-back. There's no fullback on this team, and he is the fullback. He's also a 4-core special teams player. Noah doesn't leave the field a whole lot, and so he's trying to get himself in condition and be ready mentally and physically to attack the year and have a good year.
When you talk about ideal condition for Noah Gray, what does that look like for him? Was that putting on weight? Was that dropping weight? Was that more muscle? Like what kinds of things has he done to his body to try and get himself into the position, into the physical shape that is ideal for him and what he is asked to do?
Yeah, it's a little bit of all of that, but I would say the biggest difference in him, and when you see him, you'll go, ooh, he looks different, is his upper body strength. And he will talk to you about functional strength, not just looking good at the beach, right? And so, but he's also worked on his core strength. And so sometimes you just forfeit upper body strength if you don't have the core strength to make it happen. And so what he's done is worked on both of that. So he's more explosive in the hips. He can make a little bit quicker move in a short area, and that allows him to get open on a 3rd and 6 when somebody's draped over him, and make a tough catch when somebody's draped over him, especially in the red zone. So I think if he stays healthy, he's going to do what I'm hoping he does and what he's on this week's reports.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us for a training camp report here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. Going back to that 2024 season where he caught 40 balls, 437 yards, he had the ability that year to find the end zone, did so a career high 5 times. You mentioned most of those coming in a short time frame, a condensed time frame. But production-wise, what positions can the Chiefs put him in to allow him to get back to that kind of effectiveness as a receiver? We've talked about what Noah Gray is trying to do. What can the Chiefs do to make sure that they get back to getting the best version of Noah Gray before what was a step back statistically last season?
I think it's making him a primary focus, even if Kelce's in the game. Let's say you talked about 12 personnel. That's 1 running back, 2 tight ends. And Kelce either is an inline tight end and Noah's in a wing, or vice versa. Well, Kelce for a bazillion years has been the primary. I think Noah's earned enough of Patrick's trust, and also the fact that Noah can make plays, that you now make him the primary instead of, let's see what else, nothing else is working, let's find Noah. And I think especially in the red zone where he becomes a target, because again, if he makes the tight window catch, red zone's all about tight window, then Kelce becomes the decoy in some instances. Not always, but some. But that's the answer to your question, is don't just leave Noah Gray as an afterthought. Maybe he's at the top of the list of a primary on some of those red zone routes or third down short routes.
When you consider the tight end group as a whole this year, Mitch, with some of the questions at wide receiver, Rashee Rice coming off of offseason knee surgery, and Xavier Worthy's injury last year costing him time, and Tyquan Thornton's had injury issues as well. Then you've got some youth behind that. Does that even make the tight end spot, not just Kelce, but also Gray and everyone else at that spot, but particularly the two veterans, even more important in the passing game, so that you want the wide receiver group to come good, but if you're able to get good production from the tight end, you're leaning a little less heavily on a group that is still in prove-it mode as a whole as the wide receivers.
Well, that enters Jared Wiley. Okay, that's where the discussion, maybe a Jake Brenningstool, maybe a Trey Watson. There are 6 tight ends in this camp. I still see him just keeping 3 because you're going to probably keep 4 running backs and maybe 7 wide receivers. That's a discussion for Friday. But to your point, the Chiefs and to run 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends in the game, and still throw the ball. We have seen teams make living doing that. The Ravens did it. We've seen the Bills do it a little bit, to some extent. There have been others. It's not just a novelty. It can be a really key piece. So when you go 13 personnel, you're forcing the defense to go big. They've got to go base and play 3 linebackers, and that means if you've got a mismatch against that linebacker with the tight end, whether that's Kelce, who'll get the attention, or Gray, or Jared Wiley, who has to prove he can be consistent as well, then you've got a way to attack. You can even attack down the field and get some bigger plays out of that. But Wiley's got to come on. We had such high hopes for him his rookie year, 3 years ago, and then he tore his ACL in practice. It was really strange. Non-contact injury, that took everything off the clock, and then just kind of was fighting to get back, a little bit like a Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I think that's a pretty good comp on the defensive side of the ball. And he had the big 4th down catch last year against the Dallas Cowboys, but it didn't lead to anything, lost that game. So Wiley's got to make a step too. It's just that whatever you get from Wiley this year is a bonus. It's why I didn't put him on this week, because Noah Gray's got to do it. Noah Gray's got to get to 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. Wiley becomes a bonus. Wiley's got to be a bonus, but he's also part of your answer.
Last question for Mitch Holthus, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us for this training camp report here on 580 Sports Talk, brought to us by Azura Credit Union and Hy-Vee. For all of those tight ends behind Travis Kelce on the depth chart, you think about if you're a young player and there's a veteran, especially a longtime veteran like a Kelce ahead of you on the depth chart, we always talk about, an understudy or Kelce as a mentor, which he's been a great mentor to these guys, but you can't go be Travis Kelce. There haven't been many Travis Kelces in NFL history. It's why he's going to Canton one day, why the Chiefs are going to retire his number. So how much is it important that Gray and Wiley, Brenningstool, Trey Watson, anybody else they bring into that tight end room, how important is it that they just be themselves and not focus on trying to be the next Travis Kelce, where Kelce's skill set's so unique, so hard to duplicate, and just be the best version of Noah Gray or the best version of Jared Wiley that they can possibly be?
Yeah, and I think that's who they are. That's what they are. Noah Gray, he's realistic. He knows he's not Kelce, and I would say Kelce, there is nobody like Kelce. He's just proven that. And so the fact that I do think that. I think that's the way they think. But they also know that they've got to be, the sum has got to be greater than the parts. And that's a group that they think alike. And the fact that Kelce supports those guys, and Kelce, I think, also is realistic about where he's at right now, knowing he's not going to be a 1,200-yard guy. So there's a band of brothers in that room. And Kelce is actually trying to help those guys. Travis Kelce respects Noah Gray big time. And I think he wants to help Wiley and Brenningstool. I wouldn't worry about them trying to be something they're not, because They just have to be here's I'm going to change it up on you. I think they have to be something more than they think they are. They can't be Kelce, but Noah Gray's got to think, I got to get to 500. I got to be a 6-touchdown guy. I got to make plays, third down, first down. Watch this happen. That's where I think this tight end group needs to be.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs and joins us for training camp reports on 580 Sports Talk throughout training camp. Brought to us by Hy-Vee. The world's best tailgating begins at Hy-Vee, proud official sponsor of the Kansas City Chiefs. And by Azura Credit Union. Visit with the Azura Credit Union Home Loans team. Mitch, Prove It Week continues tomorrow. Who will we talk about?
The narrative is the secondary. These guys left, and the cracks are going to open the earth. I'm going to tell you how the secondary can be better than last year in 2026.
Looking forward to it very much. Mitch, always a pleasure. We'll talk tomorrow. That is Mitch Holthus. We'll take a break, come back, talk a little baseball as we wind down this Wednesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. .542 on 580 Sports Talk. Friend of the program, former intern, Trenton Craxner, giving me the business about strawberry milk right now.
So now you're
blowing up
doxing him.
He's blowing up my phone now.
Okay.
Yeah, he's blowing up my phone now. Quick random question Wednesday. Is there anything that you were like really resistant to try for whatever reason, and then you tried it and were like, actually this is banging, and I'm kind of sad I didn't try it before?
Broccoli.
Interesting. Roasted. You roast it or just eat it like?
It's like in general. We put it in a casserole.
Okay.
We put it in a chicken rice,
Sure.
broccoli casserole.
Yeah. Throw
it in the oven. Boom. There's your dinner.
See, I do a lot of
also cottage cheese.
Yeah, that's one of those visual eater hard no for me. I'm out.
You know
on
what
cottage
you do?
cheese.
You put it in the food processor.
I mean, I'm sure there's like things you can put like in a recipe, but
so I love ranch dip.
Okay.
And like I love it, but I know it's not always good for me.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom was like, I saw this thing on Facebook one time. You should try this. So I did. And like, as long as you get the curds gone, you don't even notice the difference. Tastes exactly the same as like the ranch you get at a restaurant.
Huh. I had a real aversion as a kid to ravioli. Didn't like it. Didn't. And then like I don't mind Italian food. I'll eat pasta. I'm not a lasagna guy, but like I like a lot of pastas.
I ate fish sticks as a kid. I won't touch anything seafood now.
Really? See, because that's what I'm about to tell you. Because there's a place in town, Paisanos does a seafood ravioli in like a tomato cream sauce. It goes crazy. It goes crazy. Like I think about it a lot. That and pad thai. I wasn't resistant to trying pad thai. It was just one of those things I hadn't like had the occasion to go get Thai food and have pad thai. And once I had it, like, oh yeah, this rules. I want this every day. Indian food, another example. It took me 36 long years of life to have Indian food.
I can't do Indian food.
I like Indian
I can't do Indian food because when I was in high school, I worked at the soccer park, and in the area, cricket. Is that right? Is that cricket? Is that the
yes?
Yes.
The game. Yes. The
international game that's
yes.
big. Yes. There's a bunch of there was a local group, and it was a lot of Indian people it was their like team.
Yeah.
Whatever nationality exactly they were, I don't know, but they would make plates or things of curry and eat it and then go play, and then they would go to the bathroom and puke it up.
Well,
so
that sounds like
aversion.
That sounds like a them problem.
Well, I was the manager on duty.
I get you.
So I had to clean that up.
I would. Yeah, I'd have an aversion to the smell too. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it wasn't necessarily so much like I was avoiding it. Just that it never had the occasion. And then like now I hate talking about food on this show at 5:45, but we do it so often, and just because we're hungry. At the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. It's about the end of our day, and we're thinking about dinner, and we get to talking about food because it's a little bit more pleasant than talking about the Kansas City Royals lately. They lost by a run again last night, 5-4 the final in 10 innings against the Dodgers. Like the night before, good competitive ball game. Royals showed plenty of fight. Like if you're inclined to give a last place team playing out the string in the dog days a little credit for playing hard for 9 innings, or in the case last night, 10 innings. Royals gave you that last night. They went behind 3-1 in the 7th, but scored 3 times in the 8th, including Jack Caglione scoring from second on a sac fly. Except they didn't rule it a sac fly. They ruled
that was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, they ended up ruling it an error. Because the ball got away from Andy Pages on the transfer and rolled back towards the wall, and it was alert base running by Caglione, alert third base coaching.
Tagged up.
Alert, yeah. Like I was really surprised he had tagged up. It was also alert third base coaching by Vance Wilson to get Caglione in with the go-ahead run. But then the Dodgers got a 2-out run off of Steven Cruz, another in a long list of 2-out runs scored off the bullpen this year, and then Max Muncy with the game-winning, and I'm using air quotes here, single to drive in Ohtani with the winning run. So, tough one. Waka pitched better than his end result deserved. Royals had a lot of trouble with Blake Snell, who struck out 10 and allowed just 3 hits in 6 innings in his first start coming off of the IL. But one thing did jump out to me positively. I guess 2 things. Jack Caglione continuing to swing a good bat on this trip. Batting average up to 269, OPS up to 809. He went 2 for 4 last night. 9th inning, tie game. Nate Pearson enters, and granted, he's facing 9-1-2 or 8-9-1 in the Dodger lineup, but makes Alex Call look ridiculous on a slider.
Former national.
And gets Hunter Fiducia to ground out, and then blows away Shohei with the high gas. 7 appearances for Pearson in Royal Blue, who they acquired from the Astros in a trade. 7 appearances, 6 2/3 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. The results have never really been there for Pearson as a big leaguer, and he's 29, and I'm being real careful not to overreact to 7 outings and say, write this guy in pen. He's going to close games for the Royals next year.
Yeah.
But when you watch him, you see the vision, right? Like you could see it last night. 99 with the fastball up to blow Ohtani away. And then the hard slider at 90, the 12-6 slider that made Call look like a little leaguer. Like, the stuff has never been in question for Pearson. This guy was a top 10 prospect in all of baseball coming up with Toronto, and he dealt with some arm issues, and it turns out starting didn't really agree with him, so he moved to the bullpen, and he had some middling results in Toronto. He had a couple of months where he pitched really well for the Cubs in 2024, and then it was really bad for the Cubs in 2025, got hurt again, was just okay for Houston, good ERA, but not great peripherals. He's come over to Kansas City, he's pitched well. And for a organization that's looking for anything that looks like an answer in relief for 2027 and beyond, Pearson's given them that. Like, he's only got one more year of team control. He'll be free agent going into 2028. But the stuff is undeniable. The question has been for Pearson, why haven't you missed more bats with stuff like that? But he missed a couple of bats. He missed modern-day Babe Ruth's bat with some 99-mile-an-hour cheese at the letters last night. So, that's the way it is with relievers. Sometimes it doesn't click until it does. And if it clicks for Nate Pearson, he's going to be a part of the bullpen, a big part of the bullpen mix in 2027. And as far as the guys that they've brought and kind of auditioned for next year, like, no denying Pearson's got the kind of stuff that could make him a serious option to be a part of next year's bullpen. We had a text from the 785 asking why are the Royals throwing Michael Wacha out there to get hurt? We need him next season. I understand why you're afraid of another pitcher injury. Believe you me, it's really hard to just shut down guys.
Yeah, you're gonna shut him down and be like, you're not pitching again until spring training, and then his arm just weird when he goes to spring training.
It's hard to shut down starting pitchers, especially veteran starting pitchers. Like, there might be a point where you get to mid-September and they say, okay, we want to give a start to whomever. But it's just not really like you need 5. You need guys to start games. And the Royals are not in a position right now where they've got a bunch of guys at AAA that they just want to promote to the major leagues right this second to get a look. So it's going to continue to be Michael Wacha. And, yeah, hopefully you just kind of have to hope that his arm holds up, which hasn't happened for a good many Royals pitchers this season. Daniel Lynch gets the start tonight against Eric Lauer of the Dodgers, pair of lefties. Both lineups are out against a lefty again, third straight lefty the Royals have faced in this series. They'll once again lead off Nick Lofton. He'll play second base tonight. Bobby Witt Jr.'s at short. Jack Caglione's at first. Salvador Perez will do the catching. Starling Marte is in right field batting fifth. Carter Jensen DHs tonight and moves to sixth in the order. Then it's Isaac Collins in left. Tyler Tolbert in center field. Josh Rojas gets the nod at third, batting ninth. The lineup for the Dodgers, Ohtani DHing, Pages in center, Freeman at first, Tucker in right, Betts at short, Muncy at third, the villain of the first 2 games of this series. Teoscar Hernandez in left, Hunter Fiducia is catching, and Miguel Rojas at second base. Both teams have a Rojas batting ninth. Not related.
Yeah.
Not related.
2 kind of injury updates. Vinny Pasquantino's game last night with AAA Omaha was canceled. He is in the lineup tonight. He's going to play to start his rehab assignment. And Michael Garcia down in the Northwest Arkansas with the Naturals for his rehab assignment after he was sent back, I believe, to
Scratched
Kansas City.
from the rehab, yeah.
Yeah, he was scratched, sent back. So I guess for Garcia, that's a good sign that he is nothing significant that he's going to play again.
Here's hoping he doesn't get scratched from rehab a second time. That's happened to a couple of Royals and a former Royal, Chris Bubich, at one point this year. So that's something to watch as the Royals get closer to being whole on offense. It doesn't count for much in the standings, but I think it will matter as the Royals kind of evaluate where they stand and what kind of team they want to be in 2027. First pitch, 9:10. Pregame, 8:30 from the Royals Radio Network here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll take a break. The final word is next. Going to go home and have a big old glass of whole milk. But before I do, final word time on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Final word for me tonight, I think when you had played Travis Kelce's press conference earlier today.
Excellent editing by you, by the way. Thank you for keeping us covered with the FCC.
Yes. Man, he forgot he was on his podcast. I think he stood up there and thought he was on his podcast for that one because a few things you can't say on the radio, and then he repeated one of them twice. I'm like, come on, man. People know you use these things on the air. Come on. But it's Travis Kelce. I can't give him too much. He's going to go out this year, probably have 800-plus yards and so many touchdowns. And if he calls it a career, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So Noah Gray, we just talked about it with Mitch Holthus. 5 touchdowns this year, I'm predicting at least for Noah Gray.
That'd be huge. That would be a very good sign, I think, for the Chiefs if Gray could bounce back to 2024 form. My final word is this. If you've watched any of the Royals-Dodgers games the last 2 nights, clearly the level of competition, at the very least, you can say, has brought out the best in the Royals. They have competed. They have thrown out good at-bats. Their starting pitchers have competed. They don't look like they don't belong on the field with the 2-time defending World Series champions. The difference is when the Dodgers need a big hit, they get it. When they need to win the game, they go and they do it. They execute. They get the 0 they need. They get the run. They get the hit with 2 outs they need. The Royals too often don't. That is the big difference between the two teams. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk.